Peace and Black Power, family. Once again, you're tuned in to another episode of RENM RBG TV. This be your brother like no other, Mr. Nguvo, now you see RENM. And we out here, baby. This Queens, man. Figure dummy, Laurelton, 233rd and Merrick Boulevard. I told y'all we out here for the UNIA event. You know what I mean? That good lecture on the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. We're going to talk about Mr. Carlos Cooks. We're going to talk about Mr. Toussaint Louverture. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Give it up for the ancestor. Mr. Dessalines. We're going to talk about Brother Malcolm X. You feel what I'm saying? If you know the date, you know what we about to get into. But we out here nonetheless. This is school right here, PS 270. Come through. This is where your black ass needs to be at, family. Once again, this is Queen. You see it? It's 234 from Merrick, right here. We out here. But anyway, we about to get into it. Gonna go inside. So stay tuned, rock out with us. Gonna get as much footage as possible. But once again, you are tuned into RNM RBG TV. Keep it locked right here. And once again, you already know, family, black love is the kid for the black nation. So let's get it.
His very own, what do we call you? Historian, our speaker, our most prolific speaker, someone who is actually studying African history as it relates to the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, as well as Carlos Cooks, as well as Malcolm X, as well as Dessalines. All right? This is someone who, when you hear him speak, you're going to feel so invigorated. He's going to open your mind, and he's going to make you want to go learn some more and make you join the UNIA as well. All right, here we have Brother Raymond Duguay.
Black Power. Brother Vice President, UNIA 432.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? I can't hear you. How are you doing?
We're doing great.
Okay, even though the weather is frightful and belligerent outside, but inside we are happy and we are united. Is that true?
That's right.
Very true.
Okay, today is February 21, 2015. Generally, in the month of February, we celebrate Black History. Okay, let me give you a quick introduction to Black History. Black History, or it was called Negro History Week. It was started in 1926 by Carter G. Woodson. Carter G. Woodson is very famous because he was born in 1875, and he didn't enter high school until he was 20 years old. That means he entered at 1895. But the man always wanted to read. He always wanted to learn as much as possible. Eventually, he became the second black person to ever get a PhD from Harvard University. Does anyone know who was the first person to who was the first black person to ever get a PhD from Harvard University? Yes, sir. Dr. Dubois. That's by the way, ladies and gentlemen, for you who don't know, that's the president of Division 432. Stand up, please. His name is Michael R. Duncan. Have a stand.
Power. That's the president right
there. Until he met me, Dr. Dubois was his hero, okay? I was the one who educated him on Marcus Garvey. And if you believe that, I have a bridge I can sell you too. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, what happens is, Dr. Woodson felt, and he knew it, that, you know what? You have history, but there are missing pages. You know, it's not about aggrandizement of our people. It's not about changing history. It's not about making it up. It's missing pages that were not there. And he said, every black educator, you have a God-given obligation to espouse, to elevate, to enlighten, and to educate our people. And he started that in 1926. He wanted to select the birthdays between Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln, two people that our people thought highly of. The thing that Dr. Woodson didn't realize is that Frederick Douglass didn't know when he was born. He just made that up. So So basically, any date would have sufficed. Okay. Today is an anniversary of two epic events. On February 21, 1942, a young man by the name of Anthony Martin was born in Port of Spain in Trinidad. You may know him as Tony Martin. He is the most prolific writer and authority on Marcus Garvey.
Yes, he is.
Race First.
That's right.
And practically everything that you will hear from me that concerns Marcus Garvey and those that relate to Marcus Garvey is from Tony Martin. So Tony Martin died actually January 17, 2013. He was 70 years old. We lost a giant, but in terms of pure academic ability and expressing the history of the UNIA, he stands alone. There's no one else.
That's
Okay?
right.
Let's look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen. As I've already introduced you, Mr. Michael R. Duncan is the president of the Division 432. He also owns Jamaica Breeze Restaurant, located basically down the block at 23202 Merrick Boulevard. For those of you who've never had the food, you don't know what you're missing. It is the finest food in the history of humankind. In the history. As we're celebrating Black History, we have to celebrate the Jamaica Breeze Restaurant. And the food is out there, so please support and patronize Mr. Duncan.
That's right.
Okay, my name is Raymond Duguay. I am the vice president of Division 432. We have two branches, one in Harlem and one in Queens. The one in Harlem meets every second Sunday of the month at the National Black Theater, 2031 Fifth Avenue, basically on the corner of 125th and 5th. And in the Queens branch, we meet every fourth Sunday, so we will be meeting tomorrow afternoon at the African Poetry Theater, 17603 Jamaica Avenue.
Be there.
Okay. I said today is an anniversary of two epic proportions. The first one was Dr. Martin's birthday. The second one, this building, ladies and gentlemen, 3940 Broadway, located on the corner of 165th and Broadway. Currently, it is owned by Columbia University, but that segment is the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Center. Okay, at 3:30, February 21, 1965, a young man was assassinated. He was shot 21 times. 10 shots were in the chest. The other 11 went through the left shoulder, left legs. He was pronounced dead at 3:30. I'd like to take maybe 10 seconds just to respect and honor him. His name was Malcolm X, originally called Malcolm Little, eventually became known as El Haj Malik El Shabazz. At this time, can everyone please stand and let's bow our heads. Thank you. Have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What is so special about this man? Okay, let me show you a picture of him. This man was born in 1925, May 19, in Omaha, Nebraska. February 8, 1925, His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey starts his incarceration in Atlanta Federal Prison. Malcolm X's dad, Earl Little, who was from Georgia, was a UNIA divisional president. In fact, he was the president of the division in Omaha. His mom, his wife, or Malcolm X's mom, Louise, was the divisional secretary. What is amazing is that Malcolm X does the full circle. By having him assassinated, what happens is it stops the progress because Mr. Malcolm X was on his way to returning back to where he started from. And where did he start from? He was, it's so funny, he used to sit on his daddy's lap at the UNIA meetings. So, you have a person who is born in UNIA. His mother and father meet in the UNIA in Philadelphia. They go to Montreal, they attend a meeting, eventually get married. This man is born in the UNIA, unbelievably.
Bet you didn't know that, did you?
Look what he says. He says, every time you see another nation on the African continent become independent, you know that Marcus Garvey is alive. Had it not been for Marcus Garvey and the foundations laid by him, you would find no independent nations in the Caribbean today. All of the freedom movement that is taking place right here in America today was initiated by the work and teachings of Marcus Garvey.
Black power.
Okay. 1946, Malcolm X enters the Charleston State Penitentiary in Massachusetts. 1948, his brother, Reginald, because he has so many brothers, who has become a devout member of the Nation of Islam, writes to him and says, you know what, Malcolm? You know, we think that the God that we've been praising, the images that we've been espousing, the concepts that we embrace, they're wrong. That guess what? We come from a people that have a great history, and I think you should consider this faith. 1950, by that time, Malcolm had met this man named John Benbury. What happens is this man blows him away. Until then, Malcolm says he had never met anybody with such power in the use of the words. No more did he have to use profanity. No more did he have to use words that are degenerate. Using standard spoken language, you can express your feelings. But you can only do that by reading. So John Benbury encourages him to read. Malcolm starts to read and read and read. By 1950, he writes to the government. Harry S. Truman is the president. He tells them, you know what? I've done some research. And for 400 years, we've been slaves in this country. We need some reparations. Because of that, the FBI opens a file on Malcolm X while he's still incarcerated, 1950. 1952, for good behavior, he's let out. Instinctively, he goes to Chicago. He meets the person who's in charge of the Nation of Islam, and later on I'll show you this picture. And Malcolm is so... The transition that's happened, he's no longer like a street thug. No, what's happened is he's read so much. And one of the things he does, which is incredible, he reads the dictionary front to back, not once, not twice, 3 times. He expands his vocabulary. You know, instead of saying, this is so difficult, he would say, this is an onerous task. You know, instead of saying, this guy is crazy. Oh no, I think he's far superior to what I believe. He reads Shakespeare. He's become enlightened. But it's only because of what his brother had told him in 1948. He realizes, you know what, this is the struggle I think Malcolm has all throughout that time. He doesn't know it, but he's espousing one God, one aim, one destiny. Because that's where he's going. 1952, he's let out, he meets the leader, and the leader says, you know, you need to go to Detroit. He goes to Detroit. The guy's got a magnanimous personality. He overnight changed the Detroit temple to ragged, like 2-3 people showing up. Overnight, he got several hundred people. He does so well in Detroit. In 53, they sent him to Boston. And then, March 1954, they sent him to Philadelphia. He does so well, he is increasing membership to the Nation of Islam. May 1954, he gets to Temple number 7, 116, in Harlem. But there's a guy there who's already in charge of Harlem. This guy is going to mentor Malcolm X and really take him to leaps and bounds. It's not until 1964 when X leaves the Nation of Islam, he's able to say the truth, that this guy is the foremost black nationalist that ever existed. I mean, this is the continuation of Mr. Garvey. That guy I'm going to introduce you ladies, I'll tell you who he is. April 26, 1957, that's Malcolm X's partner. This brother named Johnson Hilton is beaten down, brutalized by the New York City Police Department. Malcolm is at one of the restaurants that the Nation Maison owns. The brothers run to him because, you know, if you don't know Malcolm X, if you've never seen how tall he is, or you don't know the respect he commands, I'll give you an example. On Merrick Boulevard, anytime there's any problem, let's say the police are brutalizing somebody, everybody runs in to see Duncan. So, Mr. Duncan, Mr. Duncan. How tall are you, Mr. Duncan? 6'2". Malcolm was 6'3" and 180 pounds. Tall, lean, and mean. Think about it. 6'3", 180 pounds. He's got it. He's got the height. He's got the language. He's able to express himself. No longer do you have to use foolish words. You don't have to say nonsense. You don't have to use profanity. Because once you read and studied, you have vocabulary. That's so deadly. I mean, for example, ladies and gentlemen, which is more terrifying to the people that oppress us? Some guy who's running up and down shouting and screaming, or some guy who wears a suit and says, no, sir, you can't do that. That's illegal. It's inopportune. And this you can be charged for. There's no doubt. Anyway, April 26, 1957, Johnson Hilton is brutalized. Malcolm X walks over to the precinct. He gets to the precinct. They tell him, we got nobody here by that. There's nobody here by that name. There's nobody here by that description. You're wrong. Mr. X says, no, sir. And the thing is about the Nation Maison, they're very respectful. No, sir. We have reason to believe he's there. The police authorities tell him, no, it's not happening. Malcolm X tells them that, why don't you look outside? By then, there were like 250 people, all Muslims standing aside. So then he said, we're going to do this the easy way or the hard way. So Malcolm X brings his lawyers, they negotiate. The man was brutalized. Eventually, he did file a lawsuit, and he did win $250,000 from the New York City Police Department. That night, up to 4,000 people were outside of that precinct. Can you imagine if Mr. X had just given that order? It could have destroyed that precinct. But that's the type of command and respect Mr. X had. Okay, Mr. X is very well known in the Harlem community. He meets people, this and that. And the thing is, unlike others, he reads. He's always reading. And that's important. In fact, one of the things I remember reading was when he was in jail, from 46 to 52, one time he's, and this is after 49, I'll tell you why. In 49, Chairman Mao Zedong is able to remove the colonial vestiges of China, and he forms the People's Democratic Republic of China. So afterwards, Chairman Mao has to clean up. They take a lot of these people who didn't support or who were supporting the colonial forces, and they execute them. So there's one picture of the daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, taking out her dad because the dad had gone against the people. And X is reading that and he says, my God, this is, once you're cleaning house, this is why you should not do wrong. And he never forgot those images. Anyway, 1960, X is well known in the community. I don't know if you can see it, but the one at the podium, his name is Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame Nkrumah was born in 1909. He's raised a Roman Catholic in a country that is called Ghana now, but at that time was called the Gold Coast. Okay, 1935, he comes to the United States. He starts to study. He does economics, he does theology, he has several degrees. Nkrumah is not a PhD, but he's got several master's degrees. Anyway, while Nkrumah is studying here, he reads about Garvey. And he said, whoa, this is what I should have been doing all my life. His name was Francis. He said, throw that out. I was born on a Saturday, my name is now Kwame. He changes his name to Kwame Nkrumah. Okay. Once he's finished in the United States, he goes to England. In England, 1945 is the 6th Pan-African Congress. This is important because up until then, all of the Pan-African Congresses were for the elite intellectuals. The ones with the snotty degrees, the one who thinks they're much better, and it was always filled with a lot of mulattoes. This is the first one that's open to the public, and Nkrumah is there. He meets George Padmore, he meets everybody. And he said, whoa, this is the deal. Anyway, when the Gold Coast is provided independence, well, they didn't have a military effort. It was just, okay, we're going to argue and you're going to give us our independence. And that was done. He becomes the prime minister, eventually the president. He renames the country to Ghana. Not because they're Ghanaian, because Ghana was one of the great West African empires. That's why he said, no, I want people to know what we stand for.
That's right.
Okay, so now Nkrumah is a complete disciple of Garvey. He is so much that he caught the flag of Ghana. It's got a black star.
That's right.
It's got the colors of UNIA. They even calls the soccer team the Black Stars. Okay. Nkrumah comes to Harlem. Well, he's here for the United Nations General Assembly, so if he's there, he's got to come to Harlem. Malcolm X is part of the greeting crowd. At the bottom right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll see Malcolm X, somebody I don't know. Next to that person is a journalist named Chuck Stone. Next to that person, that short little dark-skinned black man with the hair receding in the middle, that's the famous Carlos A. Cooks, the one who mentors X. It's not until '64 when he leaves the Nation of Islam where he says, this person I'm indebted to. This is the foremost Garvey, the foremost nationalist. He is the one who starts the Buy Black campaign in Harlem. Garvey didn't start it because Garvey was doing it. See, after Garvey's out of the scene, when Carlos Cooks takes over the UNIA and eventually creates the African Nationalist Pioneer Movement, he starts the Buy Black campaign. And he is the one who starts the Marcus Garvey annual parade. It's Carlos A. Cooks.
History.
Watch this, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, the guy speaking. What had happened was, by that time, Carlos A. Cooks was completely well known. Maybe not to the general public, but everybody who was into uplift of the race, they would know who Carlos A. Cooks was. So when Nkrumah came to speak, all of the authorities wanted to prevent Carlos A. Cooks from speaking. Because Cooks is just a different type. He's not going to smile and laugh with you, tell you, I love you. No. This is for our people. We have to uplift the race. He says, race first. Race first for you. Race first for you. Race first for me. Race first for everybody. This is Carlos A. Cooks. On the bottom right-hand corner, you see Malcolm X, and waving is Kwame Nkrumah. Next to him is Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Okay. This is our organization, the UNIA ACL. That's the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League.
That's right.
This is Division 432. We are the Marcus Garvey and the Carlos Cooks division. Marcus Garvey is in the top left-hand corner. Carlos Cooks is in the top right-hand corner.
That's right.
Carlos Cooks is the ideological son, the continuation of Mr. Garvey. And the number on the left, that's Mike Duncan's personal cell number. So if anybody wants to call him, that's who you call. If you need any money, if you can't pay your mortgage, if you can't pay your school loans, that's the number to call, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. What does this all mean, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you. Marcus Garvey is not the first. Malcolm X is not the first. Carlos A. Cooks is not the first.
That's right.
What separates Garvey from everyone else, I'm going to make that connection, is Garvey connects everybody together.
That's right.
This is the father, the absolute father, the creator of the concept known as up, you mighty race, accomplish what you will. His name is Martin Delany. Martin Delany is an incredibly talented man. He is one of the first 3 black persons to ever attend Harvard Medical School. He gets there, the students refuse to attend, so he's asked to leave. Eventually, he goes to Pittsburgh, learns medicine through a physician, and he single-handedly stops the plague in Pittsburgh, Martin Delany. But Martin Delany advocates, you know what, we're here as slaves. Nothing is going on, and we have a beginning, because his grandfather was from Sierra Leone. He said, no, we have a natural beginning. We should all strive to be back home, because once you have a strong home base, you can go outside.
That's right.
When your home is not strong, nobody will respect you outside. This is Martin Delaney.
That's right.
Second one, Henry Highland Garnett. This is the second dad of nationalism. He is a minister. What he says is, you know what, guys? The Lord, what we've been teaching, what we've been taught is wrong. The Lord wants you to stretch your hands forth back to Ethiopia. The Lord wants you to do what's right. And what's right is to uplift the race and eradicate all of those images that are evil. Next, Alexander Crummell. These guys, these are all giants. All of them. Look how we're talking, these guys were born 1819. Since that time, they've been espousing what Garvey preaches.
That's right.
This is the granddaddy.
Really Blyden.
The granddaddy. Sir Edward Wilmot Blyden. Nobody's been better than he was. He was born in the Virgin Islands. He came in the United States to study. They refused to let him study. So eventually, he had to go to England to study. He did. He becomes a minister not only in Liberia, which was that colony set up for our slaves that were asked to go back to Africa, but he also becomes a minister of Sierra Leone, the two countries next to each other. He advocates, unless we are united, unless we have a philosophy that uplifts us as a group, we cannot go anywhere. This is the granddaddy of everything.
I hope y'all listening.
This is Bishop Henry McNeil Turner. Both he and his wife are mulattoes. Up until 1873, he was just a regular preacher. 1873, the Supreme Court of the United States changes, they eradicate the civil rights law, and they say, guess what? If you want to discriminate in public places, you're allowed to. At that point, he says, my God, this is savagery. Up until then, you could not discriminate in hotels, in public transportation. It's that law that sets everything back. That's when he realizes, you know what? There's no future for us here. We have to be united. We need a strong base. This man, this is Dr. J. Robert Love. Oh, excellent. He is from Barbados. He gets educated in the United States. He is a doctor. What is so special about him is he ultimately becomes the assistant minister to the public health department in Haiti. He's there from 1879 to 1889. While he's in Haiti, he learns everything there is about Haiti, because he is the person who's going to mentor Marcus Garvey on Dessalines and Haiti. J. Robert Love. This is Antenor Firmin. The first Pan-African Congress ever held was held in England in 1900. It was organized by 3 individuals. Antenor Firmin from Haiti, Benito Sylvain from Haiti, and Henry Sylvester Williams from Trinidad. He is the one who writes the book and says, whoa. Up until then, I mean, you have to think back, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, we're nothing but property. You know, we were brought here to be servants. That's all we can ever be. You know, there are books written to denigrate the black race, saying that, you know, they are naturally made inferior. You can never have the races to be equal. This is the first black anthropologist. He writes, he debunks that book. He writes his own book and says, no. All races are born equal. There's no distinction. There's no such distinction. This is racism. And eventually, he attends the Pan-African Congress in 1900. This is Henry Sylvester Williams. Even though he's from Trinidad, he becomes a lawyer in England. He becomes the first black attorney in South Africa. Because after setting up the Pan-African Congress, he moves to South Africa. Because apartheid wasn't, it was going there, but it wasn't there yet. So he's the first black attorney in South Africa. What's so special is Henry Sylvester Williams is a friend of J. Robert Love. J. Robert Love is the one who mentors Marcus Garvey. Okay, this is the man. This is the guy who ties it all up.
The big homie.
I've mentioned to you all those other individuals. as I said, Garvey's not the first, and he certainly will not be the last. But he's the one that puts it all together. He devises and creates the plan. And I will show you what the results of the plan are. You know, until then, and this I know Garvey gets from Haiti. Until Garvey comes along, he says that black skin, it's to be shameful. They've made it black to be a crime. He says, no, I no longer will black be a crime. I will make it a virtue.
That's right.
You know where he gets that from? That's from Dessalines. That's in Dessalines' Constitution. He says, no more shall any white man ever come in this island as proprietor or master. No more shall we be raped and violated. For what they've done, we shall exact the same. That's where Garvey gets it from. Okay. This fool behind me, his name is Ernest Hogan. I don't know why some of our people are so foolish. In 1896, there is a song denigrating, what do you call that? PIMPS, I don't want to say the word that kids there. And so he decides it was called Every of Those Look Alike. The fool writes a song, Every Coon Looks Alike.
Looks like a coon.
It's amazing. I mean, but this is what they do. Actually, he does make $1 million, so even for a fool, he did make money. Okay, so there it is. All coons look alike to me. That starts the whole coon genre of songs. Nothing but denigrating songs to make us even feel worse. So what's the next step? By 1900, now these two whites make another song. They call it Every Race Has a Flag But the Coon. Garvey's in England in 1913 when he reads that. He said, okay, I'm going to give you a solution. Okay, I've skipped a lot. Now let's talk about why Garvey leaves, not so much why he leaves Jamaica, but what's happened. But in 1907, January 14th, an earthquake hits Kingston. Every building is damaged. 85% of all the buildings are destroyed. Everything. I mean, it's a colony. You know how colonies are. Whites on top, mulattoes second, light-skinned blacks third, black people last. Okay. So by then, Garvey had become the youngest foreman printer in the history of Jamaica. He was only 18. Up until that time, all the foreman printers were Canadian. Anyway, so everything is damaged. Everything in Kingston. So you would think the colonial government would bail them out, would provide funds, would try to rebuild. The British government tells them, you're on your own. You're on your own? You're kidding me. So by then, Garvey has already been trained by Dr. Love. That's his mentor who's opened his eyes. And he says, whoa, 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 whoa. I thought all men are created equal. I thought since all men are created equal, that we hold these truths to be self-evident. That all men are created equal, that among men there are certain rights such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that to secure these rights, governments are established. And by governments establish them, we accept it, and that allows them to govern us. So Garvey and the printers say, whoa, 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 but you're not doing it. What's going on here? You haven't provided any services. This is, I think, where, up until then, Garvey had read a lot. Let me give you some statistics why Garvey's lucky. I mean, completely been blessed by the Lord Omnipotent. He's born 1887. In 1883, there was a census done in Jamaica. Are you ready for this? 8% of the population could read and write. That was 1883. In 1865, when chattel physical slavery ended in the United States of America, 5% of black people could read and write. So you think about it, 1865, 5% in U.S., 1883, 8% in Jamaica. So it's not like we're being allowed to go to school. What is so unbelievably lucky, or God destined it, Garvey's father, who's a stonemason, reads and writes. He's got an extensive library. Garvey reads at such a young age. He loves to read. And then when he becomes a printer, when he becomes an apprentice, he runs into Alfred Burroughs, his godfather, who is another big reader and writer. So incredibly, it's almost God destined, Garvey, you're going to be the solution. Anyway, so by the time this happens, Garvey's read a lot. He knows a lot, but I think this is, so that's how it is. No matter what, we'll never be treated until we can establish our own functioning government. Okay, Garvey eventually travels. He gets to Central and South America. This is Garvey in 1911. He gets to Costa Rica. He works on a plantation as a timekeeper for, believe it or not, the United Fruit Company, the most right-wing extremist public company ever to exist in Central and South America. In fact, at one point, they were the largest employer. Okay. This, ladies and gentlemen, what we call the big ditch, this is what makes this country great. But don't forget, the United States does not get involved in the colonies. They were a colony themselves. They become independent. All of the European powers have colonies. In 1884, 1885, they scrambled, they just outright take Africa. The U.S. does not have any colonies. So they need to hit the big time. They've been following what's going on. In 1881, the French start building this, what they call the big ditch in Panama. It doesn't work out for them. When the U.S. takes that over, this is what makes them big. Let me describe it to you. It's 48 miles long, 10 miles wide. Each lock is 110 feet wide. The lock is where the ship comes through. Why this is such a marvel is the French wasted their time excavating, building underground. They run into malaria, they run into shortages, they can't do it. Once the U.S. takes that over, they realize instead of going underground, let's go above ground. They build Gatun Lake. It's 85 feet above sea level. The boats come in, the locks take them up and slide along. From time immemorial, they've been looking for a water route to connect the Pacific to the Atlantic. Once the United States does that, they make nothing but money. I mean, they help. In fact, Panama didn't even exist until 1903. It used to be part of Colombia. Once that country liberates itself, so to speak, quote unquote, from Colombia, U.S. recognizes them the next day. As a result, they give them a 99-year lease. Does anybody know how much they're paying, how much the U.S. government is paying Panama for the 99-year lease per year? They pay them 1 cent per year. It's free. All that, this is where they make their bucks. They become an overnight sensation. What happens is, leading up to that, they decide we got to get in the colony game. They start this in 1903. Leading up to that, 1898, they drum up some bogus war against Spain. This way they get the Philippines, they get Guam, and they get Cuba. That's their role. That's when they get into the colony game. Until then, they didn't really need to because they had the landmass. See, all those European countries, they don't have the landmass. See, that's the problem. U.S. has got the landmass, coast to coast. So this is, there's not enough said about the importance of this canal. That's what makes them big time. They control all of it. I mean, the U.S. is just preaching what everybody knows. It's the economics. They make nothing but money, trade, they control it. And here's another joke, ladies and gentlemen. If you're born in the Panama Canal, you are considered a U.S. citizen. John McCain was born in the Panama Canal. What is so funny, during the elections, when they're claiming Obama was not born in the United States, not one time was it mentioned McCain was not born on the 48 states. He was born in the canal, which is considered U.S. territory. Okay. Garvey's on the scene. Garvey gets back to Jamaica, goes to England. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? education is for the privileged. So in order for Garvey to do research while he's in England at the British Museum, you actually have to write a letter. Can I please go and read manuals? Can I please study? And you have to have someone vouch for you. This is Garvey's letter to the director. He says, "Dear sir, I hereby beg to make application to be admitted as a permanent reader in the reading room of the museum." This is the British Museum. "For the purpose of research and reference. Enclosed, please find testimonial from the editor of the African Times and Orient Review. I am a journalist and student. Yours faithfully, Marcus Garvey." That term, "yours faithfully," your humble servant, Garvey gets that from Dr. J. Robert Love. This is Robert Love's exact wording. What does Garvey do while he's reading and researching? He reads this. He finds the Sphinx. This was before the nose was broken. I don't know about you, but that looks like a black person to me.
That's right.
I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
You're right.
What happens is, Garvey never forgets that. That becomes the logo on his newspaper. Okay, you see the whole map of Africa. The two white colors, Ethiopia on the right, on the east, and Liberia on the west. Everything else is a colony. And the colors represent the groupings. So there were no independent states. It was just Ethiopia and Liberia. All of this, Garvey's absorbing. Guess what? This is the wildest thing that Garvey learns about the Fertile Crescent. You know, they always tell you the Fertile Crescent starts at the Tigris-Euphrates River. Tigris-Euphrates River is in Iraq. Wrong. That is wrong. That is wrong. The Fertile Crescent starts in Upper Egypt. It's from Upper Egypt through Lower Egypt. You cross the Sinai and then expands. What does that mean, ladies and gentlemen? That means that original civilization had to start in the Nile Valley.
That's right.
And over there, at the very tip, where it says Sumer, that is borderline Iran. Sumer was a black place. From time immemorial, the Asians have been invading that continent because Egypt is flat. Back and forth, back and forth. The line, I don't know if you can see it, there is a straight line that where Upper Egypt is, you'll see a straight line. That line is the end of Egypt. That is the first cataract. What is a cataract? A cataract are natural waterfalls where the water just flips over. At each point, at each cataract is where civilization sprouts. This is the first cataract. It no longer exists. The Aswan Dam eliminated it. But you see, there are 6 cataracts. There's only one in Egypt. The other 5 are in Sudan. So Garvey says, whoa, what's going on here? He does more research. He speaks to his mentor, his second mentor, Duze Muhammad Ali. He says, I don't get it. He says, yeah, because Egypt is the daughter of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is first. Ethiopia is where the Nile starts. And the other thing Garvey learns, almost all the rivers in the world run north to south, except the Nile. The Nile runs south to north. That's right. So the mouth of it is all the way by Uganda, in Zambezi Falls. All of this, what's impressive is, we think of Garvey as a businessman, which he was. We think Garvey as a writer, as a journalist, which he was. But people don't even realize this was a complete intellectual. He did and read and studied. He knew all of these things. Okay. So what? What does this all mean, ladies and gentlemen? So Garvey eventually comes to the United States. I'm skipping around. This is what UNIA had done. This is just in New York. We're talking about a 10-block radius. They own grocery store number 1 at 47 West 135th Street. Does anybody have any idea what the value of that building is today? Take a wild guess. $3.3 million. That's That was building grocery store number 1. Grocery store number 2, 646 Lenox Avenue. That's on 142nd Street. Grocery store number 3, 552 Lenox Avenue, 138th Street. Universal Restaurant number 1, 114 West 138th Street, which is the headquarters, the first headquarters of the UNIA. Does anybody know what he calls the headquarters? Mr. Duncan, what's the name of the headquarters?
Liberty Hall.
Liberty Hall. That's Liberty Hall. The first floor of Liberty Hall was the restaurant. Universal Restaurant number 2, 75 West 135th Street. This is a guy who comes in the country March 23rd, 1916, without a dollar to his name. Without a dollar. By 1919, the UNIA's got all this. They have a printing plant, because he is a printer, he's a journalist. Beehive Printing Plant, 2305 7th Avenue, 135th Street. The Universal Mart Industry, 62 West 142nd Street. The Black Dolls Factory. Well, if you're going to preach nationalism, race uplift, and self-reliance, you can't have your daughters playing with white dolls. That's stupid.
That's right.
So you gotta make your own dolls. You make your own dolls, you uplift your race, and guess what? You employ people. Why not do it? Black Dolls Factory. They own 2 buildings, 36 and 38 West 135th Street. They even had a university called Booker T. Washington on 137th Street. They had the Phyllis Wheatley Hotel. It takes up 6 buildings, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13 of West 136th Street. This is not Black Star, this is the White Star. This is that ship that was sunk on April 12th, 1915.
Oh, the Titanic.
Does anybody know the name of that ship?
The Titanic.
The Titanic. The Titanic was the flagship of the White Star Line. Garvey's in Jamaica and he says, wow, so that's the deal. I'm coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now what is this? It's the Black Star Line.
It is.
So what? Now let's do math. Some of you are mathematicians here. Let's do real math here. He buys this ship. They call it the Yarmouth. Eventually, it's rechristened, called the Frederick Douglass. This is the first ship that he buys. They buy it he starts in May, but they incorporate June 27, 1919. They buy the ship for $165,000 US, not Jamaican dollars, okay? Not Haitian dollars, US, real money. And he buys it cash. $165,000. Now, I know a lot of you are mathematicians here. Let's say you do a COLA. Does anybody know what a COLA is? Cost of living adjustment. This is what every insurance company, what every financial investor does. You got to assume a cost of living adjustment. Why don't we assume 5%, ladies and gentlemen? Right? If you assume 5% cost of living adjustment, that $165,000, you raise it to the 96 power. What is that worth today, ladies and gentlemen? $17,850,758. This is what Garvey's doing. See, I don't think people understand. It's not bluff. This is real money here. But it was, to give you an idea what had been done. They initially capitalized the stock for the Black Star Line at $500,000. They raised that in 3 months, selling the stock only to black people, only $5 a stock. Do you know what $10 million in 1919 is worth today? That's worth $1,081,864,103.
Damn.
Does anyone get the idea why Garvey had to be stopped? This is obvious. This is big. You know, and they want to get ways to destroy Garvey. Because this is what he's doing. But the whole concept of Garveyism to UNIA is just two simple concepts. Race uplift and self-reliance.
That's it.
That's what you got to do, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
To do that, you got to be an advocate of hard work. Oh yes. You have to be single of purpose. And you always have to be self-disciplined.
That's right.
See, you can't generate that type of business if you're bluffing. No, it can't. It's not going to happen. See,